Hey guys, welcome back. This is day 3 of our Bible reading plan, so let's get into it. I'm going to pull one verse from each book of the Bible that I've read today, and I'm just going to give a short snippet or recap of that verse. Genesis chapter 5 and verse 3 says this, "And Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth." In Genesis chapter 5 and verse 3, Adam fathers a son whom the scripture says is in his likeness, or in his own likeness and in his image. Now, this sounds familiar to us because we know that we are created in the image of God. The language actually echoes Genesis chapter 1 verses 26 through 27, where God creates humanity in his own image. The point is not just about Seth, Adam's son, but that he shared Adam's nature and Adam's qualities and his status as a human being. We see a similar pattern appears in the Babylonian work, the Enuma Elish, which I talked about on day 1. There, Anchar generates Anu, like himself, and Anu begets Nudimud, or Enki, in his likeness. In that text, the language emphasizes the continuity of being. The child shares the essence and attributes of the parent. I'm just highlighting a common ancient Near Eastern way of thinking. Offspring are depicted as reflections or extensions of their progenitor. In Genesis, however, the idea is grounded not in a chain of gods, but in humanity's creation and continuation under the one true God. Moving on to Genesis chapter 6 and verse 4, "There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown." This is one of those scriptures that every church kid talks about and debates about because we're talking a little bit about what we think is the Nephilim. And the term Nephilim is not presented as a racial or a tribal group name. Instead, it describes a type of individual, a classification based on role or reputation and not lineage. That is why it's not treated the same way as people like the Amorites, the Hittites, or the Anakites. There's a connection here to Canaan in Numbers chapter 13 and verse 33. In Numbers chapter 13 and verse 33, the Nephilim are mentioned as living in Canaan at the same time as the descendants of Anak. The Anakites are specifically described as giants, but the text makes an important distinction. Anak's descendants are giants, but the Nephilim mentioned alongside them, it's not explicitly stated that they are giants. So it's possible all the church kids out there may have debunked all of our debates growing up that the Nephilim are perhaps maybe not giants. So the text does not require, rather, that Nephilim themselves were giants. More likely meaning is that they were warriors or that they were heroes. Based on how the term is used, the better supported conclusion is that Nephilim refers to renowned or elite warriors, people known for power, people known for might. The comparison is to the knights errant, and it's helpful because it suggests that the knights errant were known for strength and reputation. They were possibly feared or celebrated. They were defined by deeds rather than bloodline. So in short, the Nephilim should be understood not as a biological race or a superhuman being, but as a class of notable heroic warriors known in the ancient world. The giants are the descendants of Anak, not necessarily the Nephilim themselves. However, I'm still going to go with that the Nephilim are giants because it sounds cooler. Matthew chapter 3 and verse 7. "But when he saw many of the Pharisees and Sadducees come to his baptism, he said unto them, O generation of vipers, who hath warned you to flee from the wrath to come?" It's funny that he says that because there were actually vipers back in the day that were known to eat their way out of their own mother, which is crazy. So basically, these baby vipers would eat their way out of their mother and they would kill their mom in the process. So I just wonder if John the Baptist had that in mind when he was accusing them of being children of vipers. Matthew chapter 4 verses 8 through 9 says, "Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and saith unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me." The passage shows really that the devil did not truly own the kingdoms of the world. He only had power over human hearts as an intruder. You can reference Daniel chapter 4 and verse 32. His offer to Jesus, all the kingdoms if Jesus would worship him, was essentially an attempt to make Jesus into the political and military Messiah that most Jews at the time were expecting. The devil's goal was to tempt Jesus away from his true mission, which was spiritual and not worldly domination. Thanks again for joining me today on day 3. Hope to see you tomorrow for day 4.